Okay, Bismillah. So we have arrived thus far at the ancient maxim to know thyself. We have seen that the self, through self study, through introspection and meditation, like all things, is construed about a center. This is just a deep, fundamental intuition that everything has a center, a ground, a foundation, and that the center of a thing is its essence. It was in the beginning, and it shall be in the end. A thing grows out of its center, from its seed, and resolves back into that seed when it dies. What is the center of the self? That's another phrase of all this. To know thyself, we are searching for the center of the self, and the center of all things. Because one will have not found the center of himself, has he not found the center of the world, right? The process of self-centering is also a process of world-centering. It is to be one in the center of yourself, and the center of yourself to be at the center of the world. Then you have become one with the all, and you have found that resplendent peace and meaning in everything you seek. There is this quote of the mystical vision of Ezekiel given in the Bible. It's about the mystical vision of angels, but for our purpose, it's something deeper. It's a vision of reality, and their appearance in their work was, as it were, a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Now, if you study ancient artwork, ancient cosmologies, and ancient psychologies, the diagram given, whether it be of the self or of the world, it's always the same. It's always like a circle. And at the center of the circle, especially of a world diagram, is man. And man somehow, that's a symbol of the cross. The man um, in his rectilinear aspect spans across the axes of the worlds, and in his circular aspect is at the center of the world. Right? That's why we're so fascinated with things like the Vitruvius Man of Da Vinci. Is that we sense something so much more fundamental and important, even if we don't understand what it means. We know that there's something of profound meaning behind it, which is why we're so drawn to it. It's why we go to art galleries and museums. Even if we don't understand actively, consciously the meanings, we somehow intuit them and feel them and deepen into them. So know thyself. Oops. We said that the self is conceived as spheres within spheres. And this is the diagram we've given at the moment. We again have this intuitive idea that you are composed of mind, body, and soul. Let's just call it spirit, mind, and body. We know we're a body because we do things, and it's the body which does things. I grip, I run, I walk, I breathe, I sleep, I talk. But inside of the body, deep beneath that, is thinking. Because before I do anything, I think of a thing. And I can only do things given the thought thereof. But at the inmost center of all of these things, there is being. Yes, I do only because I think, but in the same wise manner, I think only because I am. And in contrast this to, in the modern world, we say, I think, therefore I am. That because I think, I am. But that's irreversible, because modernity is all about flipping things on its head and reversing things. Even the center, now we've lost the center, and there's a brilliant poem of Yeats who speaks about this, that we've forgotten the center. The center's been lost. And when the center's been lost, the thing spins out of control. I think because I am, not therefore. I think because thought can only, like waves of an ocean, thought subsists in some container. There must be some ground beneath all thought. And just as beneath the motion of the waves there needs to be a still, motionless ocean, so beneath all thinking there must be a still and motionless ocean from which all thoughts have risen. That's what we mean by the spirit. That is the soul. It's the seed of the self. Before the flower can effloresce and be born, there must be some indestructible, hidden, mysterious, ineffable seed. You don't see the seed, but you see the flower. But just as you don't see your being, but you see the effects of your being, When you see a flower, you know that it's come out from a seed. So when you see thoughts risen up into your mind, you know that they have risen up out of the seed of thinking, the seed of your mind, which is your soul. So we'll speak about all of this more and more to come. But for now, I want to really focus on this idea of the center. That this diagram of the sphere of the self, the mortal coil, is about centering and going deeper. The process of knowing thyself is a process of deepening and finding your center. That's why so many religions speak of the necessity of the heart meditation. Right, like the heart chakra, or of course, like the qalb in Arabic is the center of everything, the heart. By that we don't really mean the physical heart, though that's important. The fact that the physical heart the physical center of your being has the importance it does is not for naught. It's a sign that just as there's a physical heart in the body, just as the body has a heart, so the mind has a heart. So your being has a heart. And it's that spiritual heart that we are looking for. So as you can see, we begin with the body. That's where we are. We center into the heart and therefore find the mind. We have this intuitive idea, we equate the heart with the center of thought. We don't even distinguish the physical heart and the spiritual heart, and to my knowledge, most languages don't. The word heart means mind in most cases. In fact, we use heart in a way we don't use the mind. We don't really say, I feel with my mind, but we feel with the heart. The center of your body is this mental, not just mental, but spiritual realm of emotions, of qualities, of beauty, of beatific vision and splendor. But still we're in the land of thoughts, and to find the utmost center of yourself, you must find the unthinking point from which all thoughts arise. That is the I in the deepest sense, not merely the ego I, because the ego is what we think we are. No, by the I mean what we really are, right? Not what we think I am. Even things as fundamental as, I think I am this, I am speaking, I am a philosopher or a student, I think I am a son or a brother or a father. I'm not saying they're false, because thoughts don't need to be false. No, they're real thoughts, but they're still thoughts. And so they can't be the real me at the ultimate essence, because this is the thing. I could not be this thing. I might not have this job or something tomorrow, but I'd still be there. I say I am happy, but if I were not happy, I'd still be me. I say I'm sad, were I not sad, I'm still me. How deep can that go? What could I change and still preserve myself? Well, the answer becomes, what can I not change and still preserve myself? Really, anything you think of can be lost. It will be lost at some point. But you will remain. And at the deepest level, this is the ultimate intuition of the mystics. For example, I've heard about the Hindu sage Ramana Maharshi. He had this spiritual experience where he was overcome by the intense terror of death, which is perhaps the most frightening thing of all, the threat of non-being, whatever that is. It's so overwhelming, it grips us. And in fact, that's one of the first stages of spirituality, is to awaken to that which is real. If death isn't real, what's more real? Death is more real than anything you think is real at the moment. Yet most of us have never given a second thought to death or really thought about it. And that's really a sign of spiritual immaturity. It's a sign we're still asleep and haven't woken up. But so Ramana Maharshi, when he was still actually a very young man, had this experience. And many mystics have such an experience. And the idea of death, it threatens to do something quite profound. It threatens to destroy your I. It threatens to destroy your essence. And so the resolution has to be to go into death and not to run away from it. See, we run away, we're scared of that. But it's to confront that reality. And Maharshi confronted that reality. And so he died. He lay himself down and he died. He killed himself. He killed his thoughts and sensations. He resolved himself down into the abysmal ground of nothingness which is before or beneath everything he is. He found the ultimate center of himself. He died to his body. He died to his mind even. And therefore he found the undying center of himself which is before and beneath life and death. He is alive. Before he was dead, again he will be dead. But beneath all these things, beneath living and dying, he is. There is an isness, a pure being, which suffers no change, because it is the ground of change. That's the ultimate center. Given the flower, yes, the flower will die. But when it dies, it's a process of involution or contraction. The center contracts back down, and at some point, it collapses. Like a black hole, like a singularity. At some point, it collapses down to an incollapsible center. When you have found that center, when you have died to your entire self, but found the ultimate core of your being, which is undying, which is forever and eternal, then you have known thyself. And of course, this is something to be intimately known. This is not merely an idea. This is not something to be learnt. This is not an instruction. This is an invitation to experience that, to go down into yourself. You may not believe that there is an undying center which is beneath life and death. But the only way to know for sure is to get there. Because you can never think this through. Because what the mystic, what religion and scripture is claiming is that there is a self which is beneath thinking. So you can't use thinking to get there. The only possible way to know that is to stop thinking. And that means to die. And there's two ways you can die. You can die to yourself now in the spiritual moment by coming into the eternal present. Or you can wait until death, in which you will really die. And both really do the same thing. Sooner or later we will all find out whether there is a spirit or whether there is an eternal ipseity beneath all things. But if you want to proceed, if you want to know thyself, if you want to know the meaning of things, and you want truth, and you want beauty, and you want goodness, and you want to find God, and you want to find yourself, this is the only way to go into the center of yourself. Because you can run and run away from the center as long as you want, but the center's there. And this is the thing, you know it's there. We all know it's there. We all know that there is something, a darkness, not a scary darkness, a luminous darkness at the heart of the self. But you have to go into that darkness. You have to turn off the lights of consciousness and go into the ground of consciousness. You have to go into the center of yourself. And then thou wilt have known thyself.